Good evening. My name is John Lombardo, and I am running for Select Board in Tewksbury. And today I would like to discuss leadership skills and traits to look out for when you're going to vote for someone at the voting booth. This is a part of my education for the voters and what I believe is civic responsibility. So let me get started by reviewing or just highlighting some are great traits to have for a leader. So you want someone who has integrity, good communication skills, a vision, accountability, who has a sense of duty, respect, and selfless service. And why do I talk about these? Because there's a lot of leadership skills that one can have, but those are extremely important for anybody who's entering into any select board or state position. It's because right now in our nation, we are very divided and there's a lot of distrust. And it happens in both parties. You can be a Democrat and you can see the distrust. You can be a Republican and you can see the distrust. You can see the lack of leadership development happening within both parties. And there's a big problem that we have in this country because I feel like we have a huge blind spot on how we train people to be independent minded, even when you enter into a political party. Because the second you enter into a political party, and this is one reason I do not do it, is because there's so much influence happening. There's groups out there that are funding these political parties. There's agendas that are happening, and then there's just people who blindly go to the voting booth and they vote the political party, not so much the candidate. They vote the party. We're not the person who enters this realm typically has to sell themselves at some point. It's a definite. And if they don't think that's happening, I would have to really challenge that in a lot of ways. So when you enter the political parties, they immediately will start pandering to a side. And immediately there will be a disconnect between the community as a whole and then your party. So this is why I always tell people before you can join a party, that's totally fine. But before you join it, you need to develop strong leadership skills. You need to understand why you are doing this. And you have to have some form of a mentor, kind of like I have. I meet with my pastor weekly who keeps me in check, that keeps me grounded and keeps my vision. He holds my vision for me. And he says, "Hey, are we meeting your goals of why you got into politics?" Those are extremely important things. So you don't need to pastor. You just find a trustworthy mentor outside of the political system who has strong leadership skills, who can hold you accountable throughout your progress. You meet with them weekly, bi-weekly. That's going to be critical because the longer your journey is in politics, the more challenges that come up. And the more you have to understand, why am I here? Why am I here? Am I here for power? Or am I here just to serve the community? And if I lose, whatever. But while I'm here, the goal is to bring my ideas to the table, bring my personality, bring the people's voice. Those are key things. So one way of doing that is to develop strong leadership skills prior to going in to politics. And that's what we're going to go over today. The first one I want to touch on is integrity. Integrity is important because it helps develop your ethics. And you want to be honest as best you can with the information that you have. Now, as things develop, could the information that you had originally been the overall truth? No, you probably fed information. This is just what you have, and you go with it at the time. So over time, you got to be able to say, like, hey, with the information I have right now, this is where I stand. However, there is going to be a process happening of new information coming out. And that's when you have to be ready to adapt because you don't want to lose the honesty that you promise a community. You always want to have some form of communication line with them and always let them know, like, this is where I stand now, but as things change, it could change. So anytime I represent people, I have a community right now that I was representing. And I had an original meeting with them, multiple meetings over a period of time to establish very early on what I can do and what I cannot do. And how over time that might change, but we will keep that communication line over and we will follow up. Why do I do that? Because honesty and being ethical is extremely important. We don't want to make false promises. We don't want to overpromise. We want to try our best to meet them where they're at and to say, this is what I can do. I'm not a hero. I'm not someone who controls everything. You got to work with other people and it can be challenging. So you want to keep, and this is again with integrity, it's keeping promises, acting honestly, and trying to be ethical. Next one I want to talk about is communication skills. So one key trait to always look out for with a leader is, can they actively listen to their community without interruption? So when somebody speaks, you let them finish your sentences and then you dig into it with what I consider powerful questions. It's just like in life coaching. In coaching, you learn why the person's there. You want to establish a goal in the conversation. Let them speak and genuinely listen. And then you want to ask questions, to really open-ended questions, to really dig into, what's bringing them here, what's in their minds. There might be other things happening that they can't communicate effectively because it's not their strong trait. So it's up to the leader to constantly figure out ways to develop their communication skills. This way they can connect with different community members who communicate in different ways. You also, as a leader, want to be able to explain your ideas clearly. There's things that are going to be happening in any town, and there's going to be stances. Now, there's going to be the general population's reactions of what they want, and then what we can actually do that's realistic, and we're not making false promises. That's important to have, is being able to explain to a person the entire situation that's going on. Phases of those problems, like, hey, this is where we're at right now. Come phase 2, let's say, of something that's going on with information coming out, whatever, then we have to readjust how we're going to battle something or how we're going to support something. There's so many different things out there. So you want to be able to clearly and fully explain an entire situation. And this is one thing I love about technology. This is one thing I try to utilize. I get to connect with the community through virtual platforms to have long-winded conversations. So it's listening to what my voter base has to say, then explaining my ideas in detail, why I'm where I'm at, and effectively communicating that as best as I can in lamest terms, because you don't want to get caught up with too much technical stuff, right? Oh, well, this, and that. People don't know about this. You want to try to do it in lamest terms, and then you want to explain what your ideas are within this thing. Hey, here's my idea. Here's what we can do. Let's get creative with it. Let's see how we can figure this out together. And another thing is, you want to be able to connect with different audiences. This is what I love about America. This is why I love America. And I always say, I want to bring the American dream. I want to make it a reality. We are such a diverse nation, which we should be. That's a part of America. You're dealing with diverse people, and you want them all to be heard. And in politics right now, we have fractions. We have, one party and the other party, and they go at each other. Well, I'm trying to do something different. I'm trying to have show a way of where we can all work together as a group for a purpose, right? Work with a diverse audience, speak with them, try to communicate in their language. Because we all have our micro languages. We have cultural differences in America. Right? We have America has a bunch of micro cultures, and in those micro cultures are micro cultures. We're a diverse country. You have to have strong communication skills in dealing with different people. Now, one thing that I see in politics is that we don't have people who are great communicators. They might be able to get in front of a microphone and speak, but when it comes to actually sitting down with the other side, they struggle. And that's something I want to have developed over time. And this is why I call Tewksbury Ground Zero, because I want us to try something different. How can we all sit down at the table as adults in a very hostile environment, especially online, to work towards common goals? Because right now we have a struggling middle class. All of our children, my generation, the seniors, there's Democrats, there's Republicans, and we are all suffering. Right now, this is no longer a political party battle. This is a battle for the middle class. We're a diverse group, and we need to keep the middle class because it is the American dream. It's the most important backbone to this country. The people who are poor, if you grew up like I did, which I'm sure a lot of my viewers right now watching this, you didn't grow up in the middle class. You grew up probably a tough life. And what made it nice is that we're able to get into the middle class. It was easily accessible. It's a goal that we have. But right now, the middle class went from maybe this big to this big, even lower. It's virtually impossible to get into. So poverty is now increasing. That's a problem that we are having in this country. We need to put everything aside. This is why we need to do politics differently in this town. We are in right now a real battle for the middle class that we have not seen in previous generations or in our lifetime. I mean, probably not since the Great Depression. We have not seen something like this. And until we are in a time that anybody gets voted into a position, doesn't matter if it's select board, a state rep, you have to be asking them, what are you gonna do right now for this middle class? We got to have real visionaries. And that gets to my next topic on why we need visionary leaders right now. The technical stuff, you can know everything you want about government. That's great. This, and that, you can name all the little codes, whatever you want to do. But right now, you need visionaries. You need people who can set goals for the future. This is a critical part of any leadership. You need this on the board at all times. We currently do not have that. This is something every board across town lines needs somebody like this. You need them because they're the visionaries, the people who have you need ideas. You need to be able to say, hey, we're setting the tone and we're moving forward with it. And we have to do this right now. And it happens after a lot of research, after a lot of collaboration efforts that you say, hey, we got to do this because one, it's competition out here. We have to get competitive, but we got to do it the right way. It stays in the character of the town. But we need people who are going to work with state reps right now. You need that. You need someone who's going to work across town lines and speak to select boards, get into uncomfortable situations, but develop professional relationships at the same time. Visionary, right? It's seeing the big picture of what is going on. And this is why you hear me talk about the middle class. is because that's the big picture. There is something bigger going on right now that we are not addressing in any municipality. So Tewksbury has to take a risk, and we got to be that town. We have to be, that's why I say if we're visionaries in the town trying something, other towns will see this and catch on. It's the Jones effect. So you need people who are visionaries. So if you are a leader right now, or you're thinking about getting into politics, figure out a way of how you can tap into your visions. Because we need it right now. If you're not a visionary, then you got to sit down and you got to get trained on that. Because in this community, we do not have middle class. The younger generation has no future here in the current trend that we're going in. Between taxes, regulations, laws, how we just do politics in general, we have a lot of hurdles to get over. But it's possible. I know it's possible. Because this is America. This is the country of the free, of the brave, one that I fought for and that I love. And I see amazing minds out there, people who are fighters, who are courage. I see that. I have faith in it. And I know if we do it the right way, we're going to create some of the best leaders right here in Tewksbury that this nation has ever seen. We're going to be sending off some of the brightest, most leadership skilled people out into that political realm. And they're going to be standing their ground. They're going to be bringing ideas. They're going to be like Spartan politicians. The best. They're going to ignore all the noise and they're going to focus on what they're there for. And they don't care about having to challenge systems and having to stand alone, even within their political party, because they're going to have the support of Tewksbury. We're going to get them in that position, and the whole community is going to rally behind these leaders because we know we just found the right person. And we have 3 state rep positions too, which makes it great. We have state reps right now we can work with, and we say, hey, let's test out your leadership skills. Where are you at right now? Where can we help you to get behind you on certain issues? Because it's not all about just replacing them all. Right? One guy that is our state rep, he's from Tewksbury. Seems like a nice guy. I think he's caught up in the political, the Democrat system, and I believe that if he stepped away from that, he'll be an amazing leader. I have faith in him. So I don't want to ramble on too much about that. So another big thing is accountability. This is one of the hardest things for anybody to have in life. Accountability. It's taking responsibility for things, even if they go wrong. We see it all of the time in politics. All of the time, we see this. There's no self-accountability. They don't want to admit that they're wrong, right? Because they're more interested in keeping their position than admitting when they're wrong and possibly losing the position. But I'll tell you what, this is something that a lot of leaders don't realize. We are desperate to have a leader be accountable. We will give you grace because we have good hearts. We just love a leader who can say, you know what? I messed up. I messed up. I did it wrong. We don't want you doing things wrong all the time, though. Don't think you can just go around messing up all the time, right? Because that's a part of your evaluation, right? Of you as a leader. You don't want to mess up all the time, but when you mess up, but you do a lot of good things, have some accountability. The people will love that. They love seeing accountable leaders because that's what a real leader is. They're willing to step up to the plate and say, you know what? I messed up. Or they step up for other people and they say, you know what? I'm the leader here. I'm going to take full responsibility. It's one of the best traits that you can have. It's not taking credit when things go right. It's being responsible and standing up and saying, I got it wrong. And there's nothing wrong with that. If people are going to criticize you, then let them. But I'll tell you what's more responsible is that you, and someone like me that I'll see, if I saw people be accountable, I actually give a lot of credit for that. As other people want to cast stones at them, no, I see someone who just stepped up to the plate and just said, you know what, I messed up. That takes a lot of bravery, and we really need that leadership. That's a leadership skill. And the other thing is, we want people to have right now courage. You've heard me say this a couple times, being courageous. Being in politics and being a public figure is like can be traumatic at times for people. You are putting yourself completely out there to rabid groups. I mean, let's be serious. In this environment, it's rabid. So you're putting yourself out there for total criticism on everything. It takes bravery to do that. So any politician that we have right now, what we have to realize is that, listen, they're stepping on. Even my opponents, it could be somebody else. You gotta have some respect there. They're putting themselves totally out there for criticism. But in order to do this, you have to have some courage. So you got to be ready to be criticized. But while you're in the positions, you got to be ready for the fact that not everybody's going to like you. And that there's going to be times that you're going to have to actually step into a realm where everybody hates you and nobody's going to like you. And these same people that were your friends 2 seconds ago will come after you 2 seconds later. That's politics. You got to be ready at all times to be courageous. But as long as you're standing, what I always say, as long as you're standing on ethical and moral ground, that's all that matters. That's what we want from a leader. It's so important. Never be afraid to stand your ground and challenge things, even if people try to say you're wrong, blah, blah, blah. If you know truth, you stand in that and you don't ever apologize at all. Those are the leaders we need in this country, not even just at the municipal level. We need that at the state level. I would have loved to see right now. Like, I would love to see someone running for state rep who just steps out and says, you know what? I'm running as a Democrat. Or I'm running as a Republican, but I'm challenging certain things that I don't like. Because both parties want to act like they're right all the time, but they're not. There's flaws in them. Most voters are independent. If you go out in the community, most voters say, "Yeah, I'm an independent." What you see on TV with the extreme sides, it's all propaganda. They're going at each other. But most people you meet out in your community that you're friends with, they might be a part of a different party. We work together. We have families together. We share a community together. You got to always remember that we're family first, right? We're neighbors and we're trying to get through life together. And I don't want people constantly fighting about things. I want us to really look at our real problem right now. The number one thing we never want to come under attack in America is the middle class. The second we lose that, the second we lose this nation in the American dream. This is why I'm making Tewksbury ground zero. I'm going to stand on the middle class hill, even if it's by myself, and die on it. I'm willing to go down and take everything down with me because I'm going to stand up for the American dream. 100%. And I don't care if everybody hates me over it. This is just how I am. The American dream will not go away. We are going to bring that back in full force. And we're going to do it by utilizing our moral courage, by being independent minded, and finding good independent candidates who can enter a political party system if they want to choose to do that and stand their ground. And us here in Tewksbury, we're going to 100% get behind these people. And we're going to know, hey, you got us. Don't you worry. You get on that stage, you get on that state stage and you speak your mind. And don't even listen to them. We got your back because that's what we are. We're family here. We're going to breed what I call political Spartans right here in this town who are going to be the smartest people. They're going to be brave. They're going to be accountable. They're going to have visions. They're going to have great communication skills and integrity. So, for someone like me, this is what I try to embody all the time. You wanna walk the walk, but you want to talk. You want to talk the talk, but walk the walk as well. You want to be able to do this. And someone like me, the road I'm taking is I love America. I'm gonna walk this dream, even if it means I only get so far in politics, because this is who I am. I'm an independent. I'm free-minded. I represent the people directly. I don't represent groups. I represent the American, period. You can't buy me out. You can't have me submit to powers. You can even take a position away from me, and I won't care because I'm serving the people even if I go down at an election booth. I don't care. I'm not selling myself out to anything. I'm not going to be entering and looking for things. I have faith that the American voter will show up because I believe in the American dream. That's what I stand on. I don't care about power. I don't care about being politics for my entire life. I don't want to. I want to be the American who gets in there, does the right things, and then gets home and raises my son. Family is everything. Having my wife, having my beautiful son, and having my home, my community, I got everything I need. You could give me $1 billion, I would never sell out my town or my nation. Why? There's nothing out there for me. I got everything I need right in my home. That's how people have to start thinking in leadership. You got what you need. You got freedoms. You have a country that lets you run for a political position. Man, we're blessed. We're blessed. This is why I meet with my pastor every single week. He keeps that humility. Another leadership skill, humility. John, you're nothing special. Don't think that you are. You're not above anybody else. Don't forget that number one in life is being a family man, that you have everything you need. So when you're being a leader, act from good faith. Do it from your heart. And who cares about power? That's not what the America is about. America is about just simple people engaging in a political system from all backgrounds. Because we always, as voters, we always want the person to be like perfect in every way. And that's how they try to position themselves as perfect in any way. But don't forget, we're human beings. We are flawed. You're never going to find a perfect person. But you can look for leadership traits that are important to have. So here's another thing of who I am. These are areas that I constantly try to work on as a leader because it is the foundation of any position you get into. If you don't have strong leadership skills, and if you can't tap into one of them in the environment that we're currently in right now, then that's a concern. We need morally grounded, strong leadership trait leaders right now. That's something I'm bringing to the table. But you, as somebody who wants to get into politics, try to develop these skills. And I'll read them again: integrity, communication skills, meaning active listening, explaining your ideas clearly, connecting with diverse audiences, having a vision, seeing the big picture, setting direction and long term goals, being accountable for when you're wrong, and having the moral courage to stand up, even if it means everybody around you hates you, even if it means you lose your base, even if it means you don't stay in power forever, because you got to do the right thing. And I'll tell you what, if you do these things, the community will love you for it. Your supporters will always trust you, even if they disagree with you. They can't say, I don't trust him. I might disagree with him, but I still trust him. You're never going to lose that. Thank you.